Saturdays, 2 p.m. on Women Radio WFM 91.7. We are Nigeria's only radio station for women and their families. Boko Haram insurgents on April 14, 2014 attacked government girls' secondary school in Chibok, Nigeria, and kidnapped 276 schoolgirls. A very sad day for Nigeria. Some of the girls managed to escape on their own, while others were later rescued following negotiations by the federal government of Nigeria. However, 102 girls are still missing. On April 14, 2021, we marked 7 years of that tragic incident. No word, no closure. 7 years of anguish, 7 years of pain, 7 years of broken promises. The fate of our missing 112 Chibok girls and the continuing trauma of the Chibok parents and their communities are slipping from the public consciousness. We ask, has the Nigerian government forgotten? In fact, story getting to us from the BBOG says about 20 of the parents of the Chibok girls have lost their lives, probably from the stress, the mental torture, and the pain of losing their children. This is the Woman Agenda on Women Radio 91.7, and we are discussing 7 years since the Chibok girls' abduction. Has the government forgotten our girls? And discussing with me this afternoon, I have two powerful advocates of the BBOG, Buki Shonibare and Aisha Yusufu. I understand that we'll be talking to Buki Shonibare first, the Executive Director, Invictus Africa and Human Rights Advocate. Buki speaks gently and quietly, but she is a warrior when it comes to advocating for girls. Buki, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Good afternoon.
Hello, Buki, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
This is a Woman Agenda on Women Radio WFM 91.7. It's 6 minutes after 2. We are looking at the Chibok girls, 7 years of the Chibok girls. And I have with me Buki Shonibare. Buki, are you here?
Yes, I am. I can hear
I can
you.
see Buki's lips moving, but it's the audio that we probably need to work on.
Good afternoon. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello, Buki. I can hear you. I don't know why they can't hear you.
Hi, babes. Hi, Aisha. I can hear you.
Well done. Let me write to them. I can hear Buki.
Yes. I can hear you.
I can't hear her now.
Yes, me too. I can't hear her now. It seems it's me and you.
Still more message to them.
Okay. Hello, Buki.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Ma. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you, Buki. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. Okay, Buki, good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. I know you have done a lot with the Chibok girls, with even Leah Sharibu and all the girls that are missing. I want to ask you is, what are your thoughts? What would you say? Do you think the government is pulling its weight? Do you think they're just back? Minister for Humanitarian mentioned, I think yesterday, look, the government is doing everything it can, but obviously because these are security issues, it can't just come out to the public and tell us what they're doing. What are your thoughts on this?
My thought is first to say that the sheer fact that we are having to commemorate 7 years since the abduction of the Chibok girls is a very sad reality. First, the girls should not have been taken in the first place. And then they were taken, and now we are talking about 7 years on. I recall when we started the movement and we had our first march. We didn't think that we would have to even commemorate 1 month or 30 days. And I remember when we gathered at the Dome in Abuja to do the 30 days commemoration, we were telling ourselves, like we were having that commemoration in shock that 1 whole month girls have been taken, and now we are talking about 7 years. But back to the question that you asked specifically in terms of whether the government is pulling its weight. There is no weight that the government may be pulling that makes sense if it does not achieve any results. If we cannot see tangible results to show that the government is doing anything, that is, if at all they are doing anything, if we can't see that result, then we cannot say that they are doing anything or they are pulling any weight. What is weight if it is not resulting in a corresponding result? The Constitution is clear in terms of the fact that the government has the primary responsibility for the security and welfare of the people, Section 14, subsection 2B. And the failure of that primary responsibility is what we are talking about today. So any result that will make sense, that will show that they are pulling any weight, is for us to see the girls back. 276 girls were taken. Some of them escaped on their own. 57 of them escaped. Some of them found their way out. And now we are still waiting for 112 girls 7 years after. What weight can we talk about if we are not having these girls back?
Thank you very much, Buki. It's 10 minutes after 2 on Women Radio WFM 91.7. It's the Woman Agenda. Now, people, you've heard people say lightning does not strike in the same spot twice. With regard to the increased insecurity and its patterns in Nigeria, what have we lost? Have we lost grip on everything? What would you say to this?
We have absolutely lost grip of everything. And that is coming on the backdrop of the fact that we've seen so many abductions that has happened recently. When the Chibok girls issue happened in 2014, one of the things that we kept telling ourselves was that this is unprecedented. And you will recall, Ma, that many people actually found it difficult to believe that that abduction took place. Till date, there are still people who doubt that there was any abduction at all. And that is for so many reasons. But one of the reasons is the fact that it is unprecedented to have girls in that number taken from their schools. That happened in 2014. Now, one would expect that for a country that has dealt with an unprecedented tragedy like that, we would learn from that and put measures in place to make sure that we don't have a repeat of that. But 4 years down the line, on February the 19th, 2018, we had 115 girls taken from their school in Dapchi. And one of the outcries that we came out to say is that this should not even happen at all. Because if you look at the modus operandi that the insurgents used to take the Dapchi girls, it is very similar with that of the Chibok girls. First, they came with military uniform. They deceived the girls to say that they have come to help them, that insurgents were somewhere. So one would expect that we would have had some level of training, of teaching the children, even the community resilience. We would have had some certain level of security and safety of schools, specifically targeted at schools. We would have had some of these things just to make sure that that unprecedented tragedy does not repeat itself. As though that was not enough, between December 11, 2020 and March 20th, 2021, we've had 5 large-scale abduction of school children. So that tells you that we are not having any grip of anything. And it is unfortunate that the abduction of school children have now become a commercialized venture in Nigeria.
This is the Woman Agenda on Women Radio, WFM 91.7. We're discussing 7 years since the Chibok girls' abduction. Has the government forgotten our girls? And with me is Buki Shonibare, Executive Director in Vectors Africa. She's a human rights advocate, and it's 13 minutes after 2. Buki, there's a school of thought that believe that the Nigerian population have not reached a to the challenge of supporting these girls and their parents in securing their release. I mean, year in, year out, you see a few women gather, we make comments, we march, we do, but it's like a minute percentage. Why does it seem like the Nigerian populace aren't doing anything about this?
I do not agree with that notion that the Nigerian populace is not doing anything about this situation. Let's go back to 7 years ago, 2014, when this happened. The fact that this issue became globalized was because of the Nigerian populace, well represented by few people like you and I, and several people that were coming out and clamoring on this issue. So while we have civil society actors, human rights activists coming out to lead the Bring Back Our Girls advocacy, the Bring Back Our Girls advocacy our movement then became the rallying point for Nigerians across all divides to come together, regardless of religious, ethnic background, even political lines were actually blurred. People came out on the sheer platform of humanity, but not just Nigerians. Nigerians then mobilized other Nigerians in the diaspora and non-Nigerians even outside Nigeria. It is why, for instance, we had Michelle Obama carry the placard, Bring Back Our Girls, and so many other people that came out to carry the placard. But what has happened is the fact that the failure of government is now making it look as if Nigerians are not actually passionate about this issue. Yeah. Because we didn't expect that this thing will last for so long, it made it difficult for people to continue with that same strength and energy that we started in 2014. If there had been results, if the government had not forgotten about the Chibok girls, then we will not be talking about the fact that whether Nigerians are passionate about this thing. We must not mistake that fact. It is the fact that we have not seen result, and that result is maybe causing some form of lethargy.
Okay.
And beyond the result, man, let me also add the continuous abduction. People are now in that mode of fortifying themselves because it's more like, let's keep ourselves safe because this government doesn't seem to be protecting us.
Buki, while you're talking, what is coming to my head is it a business venture? I'm just wondering. The report said, they had to part with 3 million euros or something like that, cash each for each of the, I think the 164 girls they were released. I can't even remember.
No, the 83 girls that were released.
Were released, that they had to part with about 3 million euros cash per each of the girls. Is this a business venture? And are we not even at risk of creating a trend where Boko Haram terrorists or anybody, will continue to find vulnerable areas to attack and kidnap our children? Is this how it's done?
Thank you for saying that, or anybody, because this has now gone beyond Boko Haram. What we started having in 2014 was a Boko Haram related kind of abduction and commercialization of war, and not just Boko Haram, even people that were supposed to be protecting us, that has that primary responsibility. There has been several reports that have come out to indict certain members of the government in terms of commercializing this issue. So when we talk about commercialization, it's not just the armed robbers or the Boko Haram members that we know, that we think. There are even people who are not supposed to be commercializing their responsibility that are actually doing that. Now, to specifically your question about whether there is commercialization, yes, there is commercialization. And that is because people see that when 21 girls were to be released, when 83 girls were to be released, there were exchange. And the exchange was not just the exchange of their fighters, but of cash. And this cash were not being exchanged in Naira. No government will come out and tell you that, we exchanged Naira. But we know that that is the rule. That is even countries that we think that we are learning from, they are also exchanging money. And it only takes a nation that is impoverished, where our economy is really abysmal, where it is bad. It takes a nation where people are hungry, where there are marginalized communities, where there's unemployment, where there are children that are not going to school, where we are not setting up children for a good future. It takes a nation, a fragile nation like that, to breed young people who would see any opportunity as a venture to make money. And so to make money now, it has now shifted to the abduction and exchange of our young children, those we call the future of tomorrow. It has now come to that. The question is, where will it shift to tomorrow? And girls are not just soft targets, thereby exacerbating existing gender inequality issues that we have been dealing with. Even young boys, even boys are now being targeted, and they are targeted not just for abduction, but for conscription into their camps so that they can have more. And a nation that is, a government that is forward-looking should actually nip this in the bud, because it is really going out of hand.
Okay, Shonibara, 20 minutes after 14. I have one question to ask you before I try to open the lines. Now, Christina Mampoa made a comment yesterday. I'm not sure if you read it. She indicted the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But look, she indicted the leadership and said, it's not possible for insurgency to continue without the knowledge of the president. In a nutshell, that was what she said. What would you like to say to this?
I completely agree with that notion. And see, when we talk about knowledge of the president, we are not talking about the president just as a person, just as the president. We're talking about the entire entity of not just governance, but also all arms of government. So when the president is being pointed at, we are only pointing at the government because he leads and is the arrowhead of the entire governance architecture. Now, what my interpretation of that would be is an indictment on the entire government. There was a time in the course of this advocacy that we got to hear, and there were reports that came out from I think the British government at that time, that there were efforts, they had seen where these girls were, and there were efforts to actually take them out. And part of the strategy was going to be for them to release some kind of substance that will make all of them sleep, so that they can pluck out, for lack of a better word, pluck out the girls. Guess what? Before the day of the operation, or on the day of the operation, they realized that the insurgents were wearing masks to cover their faces so that substance will not have any effect on them. The report is there online. But what I'm trying to say is there's no how. See, we're at the stage in this insurgency that we must tell ourselves the truth. There's no how this insurgency will continue without the knowledge of key people in key positions of authority and leadership in this country. There's no how this would have continued without not just their knowledge, but their conspiracy and their support and their corruption. And until we get to the point where we pluck these people out, until we get to the point where the truth is revealed, this will only continue. We're talking about Chibok today, Dapchi, Jangebe, and all of these places. We don't know. And see, one last thing I will say in case I don't get the opportunity to answer any question. People all across Nigeria must not think this is a northern problem. It is not a northeast, northwest problem. It is a Nigerian problem. And it is only a matter of time. If we are all not raising our voices and keeping this government on their toes to make sure that they do what is possible to secure schools and to make sure that our children can safely access this right to education safely, it is only a matter of time before it gets to our doorstep. And nobody should say, God forbid.
Nobody is safe, basically. Nobody is safe. Nigeria ranked higher more. Our position has gone in a country that is not safe for women and girls. We keep high on that list, and it's really, really is saddening. It's saddening. The last thing I want to ask you, from the Chibok story and instances of bandit attack on schools in the northeast or in northern Nigeria generally, should we abolish boarding schools? Should boarding schools be abolished?
I don't think boarding schools should be abolished, because boarding schools being abolished because we're having situation of children being abducted is simply giving an opportunity for the government to continue to be irresponsible. And that is the government. See, Section 18 of the Constitution is clear. Children have right to access education. It's a constitutional right. What is the obligation of the government? The Nigerian government is signatory to the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights that guarantees this right to education. And so by that covenant, by that obligation, the Nigerian government has the responsibility to make sure that the enjoyment of that particular right is free and is possible. So we cannot shut down boarding schools because we want to give an opportunity for the Nigerian government not to fulfill its primary responsibility. Boarding schools should remain open, but the government must make sure that they put everything in place to secure boarding schools. So trying to excuse and saying, oh, because this is now a soft target and because government is not doing anything, and then let's pack it up. No, we are simply giving opportunity for them to not achieve their primary responsibility. So I don't think boarding schools should close. I think the government should secure more boarding schools and even day schools.
Thank you. Thank you. We're looking at 7 years since the Chibok girls' abduction. Has the government forgotten our Chibok girls? Buki, I'm coming to you with a final thoughts you have. What would you like to say? I mean, and I want you to direct this to the government. I want you to direct this to the government. What have they forgotten the girls? What are they doing to secure all of us in Nigeria? Nigeria belongs to all of us at the end of the day. So some of us, majority of us, should not feel insecure, and that is the way we do feel. So your last, your final comments, please.
My final comment would be that I, as a Nigerian, I speak for several other Nigerians, that the Nigerian government has forgotten the Chibok girls. And that is because we do not hear anything until we are commemorating the abduction of the girls, or another girl has escaped, like the last one, Alima Ali, who we don't even know what her situation is. Because don't forget that is also an issue that is on the table. The fact that that girl, there was a call that was made to the father of that girl. And then at some point, the Nigerian military came out to say that they don't know where the girls are. So it's my key message to the Nigerian government is you have failed not just the Chibok girls, but girls generally. The sheer fact that the Chibok girls are still in abduction is an indirect way of communicating to every Nigerian child that if anything happens to them, we don't have the capacity to secure them or to bring them back. And my message will also be that, please, Nigerian government, your primary responsibility is still there. Your obligation to International Covenant on Human Rights are still there. Fulfill it. Bring back the 112 Chibok girls. Bring back Leah Sharibu. Bring back Alice Ngada. Bring back every other Nigerian, male, female, young, old, that is in the den of abductors, not just Boko Haram abductors. Bring them back. And lastly, please secure our schools. Nigeria is signatory to the Safe School Declaration. It set a minimum standard for security and safety of schools. Secure our schools. Put action to the Safe School Declaration so that every school in Nigeria across the 6 geopolitical zones have a minimum standard of security and safety so that our children, the way your children enjoy safe education, they can also do the same.
Buki Shonibare, I cannot but thank you. Every time we call on you, you answer us. I cannot but thank you for coming on the Woman Agenda on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Have a wonderful day. Have a good weekend. Thank you, Buki.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Buki Shonibare is the Executive Director Invictus Africa. She's a human rights advocate. This is the Woman Agenda on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Today we are discussing and looking at 7 years since the Chibok girls' abduction. Has the government forgotten our girls? I would see if Aisha Yusufu is on now. Aisha, hi, how are you? At 20 minutes.
Hello, how are you? I've been on since 2 p.m.
Aisha, we were told that you have an emergency now. That's what you do.
Yes, I told her I had emergency. I did, but I logged on. I've been on since I've been writing.
Aisha, forgive us.
No, it's okay. No, I perfectly understand. And I was enjoying listening to Buki. At one time, the conversation was between myself and Buki because we couldn't hear us in the radio. It's good.
Thank you very much. It's 28. This is a Woman Agenda on Women Radio, WFM 91.7. We have Aisha Yusufu. Aisha is a co-convener of Bring Back Our Girls movement. And Aisha is also a voice for the ordinary Nigerian, because I remember the comment you made. We don't have to know somebody to be You can say nobody and don't have to know somebody to be somebody and know somebody in Nigeria. We remember. And a lot of people are clamoring to contest as the president of Nigeria. Aisha, let me start by asking you, would that be something you will be interested in doing? Would you consider contesting as president?
So first of all, I really feel sad that we have gotten to a level where we think that everyone can just be president. And I am one person, I hold myself to higher standards than I hold every other person. And I can tell you, as I am right now, in April 2021, I do not have the capacity to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We cannot look for leadership, somebody to come in there and learn the job. Yes, I can get people, team to work, but in anything that we do, we must get people who have competence, character, capacity. Right now, I do not have the competence. Maybe in the next 5-6 years, if I'm putting myself towards it and learning and just learning about the leadership, about everything to do with the nation, I can't be in that position. But I will tell you categorically, even as of today, Aisha Yusufu will not vote for an Aisha Yusufu presidency ticket. It's as simple as that.
But do you understand why people are clamoring for that? A lot of young people, because I was talking to my colleague Josh the other day, a lot of young people are clamoring and asking, and they mentioned your name. But do you understand why they're doing that? Because
I do perfectly understand. I have the passion for Nigeria. I love Nigeria. I have the empathy, you understand? But I don't have the capacity. And sadly, we have had leadership over the years where we have a lot of leaders who don't have capacity, who have been presidents, that are clueless, I don't have capacity. And so we tend to think that, okay, anybody can just be there as long as they love having someone there. I'm one person that I know that even when I get there, first of all, I understand my weakness, which is I don't have enough knowledge to be able to govern Nigeria. So what would I do? It would be to get a team of people who are very knowledgeable about different aspects and bring them together, give them a vision, and let's go for it. But in my own case, I look at it, we cannot have somebody coming on the job and learning on the job to get people. So we want somebody who already is aware of what these problems are and all of them, and work towards getting them. And I will be very honest with you. For me, the way I attack people is the way I attack myself. The way I criticize people is the way I criticize myself. I don't have the knowledge, and I'm very upfront with you on that.
Aisha, for being honest, it's 2:30. This is the Woman Agenda. My first question to you: 112 girls still in captivity for 7 years. Has the government forgotten our Chibok girls?
Well, like you heard Buki, speaking, absolutely, the government has forgotten our Chibok girls. There's nothing that they're doing. What they seem to do year in, year out now in the last few years is that they just bring out the same statement, change the dates and change a few words and just throw it out there. And as soon as they are done with that, they go back home and sleep. And that's the reason why you could hear the Minister of Information actually asking with no sense of responsibility, saying that, oh, is it the 6th year or the 7th year anniversary? I mean, for me, it's all about impunity. Even if you don't remember the exact number of years, there was no need to have even said, is it the 6th year? Just say anniversary and move on. But because we live in a country where bad behavior is not being punished, if it's another country, that's enough to call for the resignation of the information minister. How can you be information minister and you don't even know the precise number of days that girls have been missing, which is a milestone event? Chibok girls' abduction affected this country in a way that we never thought about. I mean, whoever would have thought that girls would be taken away from their school? And to see the same person who is now information minister, who used to be part of the opposition party, and they used Chibok girls' issue as a campaign issue today, is asking whether it's the 5th year or the 7th year. It's really sad, the fact that we do not place value on the Nigerian life.
Thank you very much. I just quickly want to let the producer know that if people have comments on Zoom, because we have quite a number of people on Zoom, if these comments can be read out. Thank you very much, Aisha. 27 minutes to 3 on the Woman Agenda on Women Radio, WFM 91.7. Some school of thought, Aisha said President Muhammadu Buhari tried to get some of the girls released, and we should cut him some slack. Do you agree? Would you give him credit for this?
Oh, so the thing is that it's not President Muhammadu Buhari that is being asked to bring back Chibok girls. It's the Nigerian government. And the Nigerian government is in continuum. Before today, after, it will still be Nigerian government, irrespective of whatever administration that is in place. So for people who say I shall cut the president slack because 107 Chibok girls are back. I said to them, if you were amongst the 112 Chibok girls that are still in captivity, all their families, will it be okay that 107 are back, but you are not back, or the rest are not back? And I think people need to understand this. I think it's our mentality when we are brought up with a slavish kind of mentality, like people who are in position, we are their slaves. No, we are citizens, we are not slaves. And the rescue of our Chibok girls is not a privilege. It's their right as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so when we're making demands for them, we're not doing them a favor. We're only doing that which is right. Yes, 107 Chibok girls have been brought back. When 107 Chibok girls were brought back, we were happy, we were ecstatic, we went out, we were gleeful and everything, we celebrated it. But then yesterday died last night. Today we are still talking about 112 girls that are still in captivity. Leah Sharibu is still in captivity. Alice Ngara is still in captivity. A whole lot of people are out there in captivity and they need to be brought back. We have Afaka, is it 29 or 39, the ones that were taken away in Kaduna State. Students that were taken away from their school. And the problem is, who is next? I think a lot of Nigerians think that this thing will not happen today. Let me just say something that I always say to people. Yesterday's victims were once survivors. Today's victims were yesterday's survivors. And tomorrow's victims will be today's survivors. The question is, who is next? The victim card in Nigeria is going down, it's going round. And being a victim is no longer a matter of if, it is a matter of when. When will it be your turn? Is that when you now have empathy? I think people should understand that they shouldn't allow themselves to have expensive empathy where they do not feel the pains of other people until it affects them.
Okay, I'm still hoping the producer will reach out and let me know comments. Are there comments? Are there comments? I don't know if there are any comments. But Aisha, I have a question to ask. Yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, a very sad report came on. And the report said 20 of the parents of the Chibok girls are dead. They died from trauma, from pain. We don't know. What would you like to say to this? I mean, there's no word concerning the welfare of the parents of these girls. I spoke to the parents of Leah Sharibu on the 3rd anniversary, and I asked them, do you get contact? Does anybody reach out to you? They said to me the last time somebody reached out was a Minister for Women Affairs, and that she said the president, the government sent her. But the parents are not contacted. What would you say to this? Should we not be thinking of the welfare? We know they are abandoned, but should we not be thinking of their welfare?
The thing is that, on the issue of the death, over 20 parents have died. They started dying since 2014. I remember there is one particular one that for me, it really touched me. A father was killed along with his 2 sons, and his neck was slaughtered. In his own case, he didn't just die from that. It was Boko Haram that came to attack the Chibok area, and they killed him also with 2 of his sons. So a Chibok girl out there had lost her father and brothers without her even knowing about it. And a lot of them are going through so much health complications right now as we speak. And earlier this week, today is Friday, right? Yes. Late last week, a mother died, a Chibok mother died, and without seeing her daughter for 7 years. It's really sad. The most painful aspect is the fact that nobody reaches out to them. Nobody says anything in terms of government. They have moved on. Once a year, they bring out a statement, and that's all. And at the Bring Back Our Girls movement, we've continuously said that there should be a feedback mechanism where the government should be meeting with the parents. Even if they don't meet with us, we are not interested in meeting with government. We just want action. Meet with the parents, explain to them, tell them what you're doing, reassure them. There hasn't been anything like that. What does it take for you to show empathy, for the government to show empathy to our Chibok parents? But nothing is being done. It's always the Chibok parents. They reach out to us. We talk to them. They will like, you are the ones in Abuja. Is there anything coming from government? And nothing has come out of it. But the most instructive thing here is the fact that the greatest crime in Nigeria is to be poor. When you're poor, you're faceless, nameless, and voiceless. The poor people in Nigeria are not seen as human beings by their government. They are only seen as collection of thumbprints, and that's what is happening. If the Chibok parents were who is who in Nigeria, where the wealthy and all of that, the political might, they wouldn't be treated in this way. And we must, that must affect, that must pain all of us, because no Nigerian is more Nigerian than any Nigerian. And a situation whereby when certain people are affected because they have money or power, their issue is taken care of differently. And then another said because they do not have anything, their issue is taken care of differently, is something that we need to stop in this country.
Thank you. Now, I'll just quickly read a comment here from Adebanke. She said, the Nigerian government needs to do better. We need a system we can be proud of. This is a woman agenda on Women Radio WFM 91.7. It's an opportunity for us. We're very grateful to have Buki and Aisha here. The numbers to call to ask them questions, 07031756537, 07031756537. Now, Aisha, someone sent a message in. If you were to see President Muhammadu Buhari being the chief security of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what would you say to him regarding the Chibok girls, Leah Sharibu, and all in captivity?
Well, let me be very categorical about this. I will not sit on any table with President Muhammadu Buhari. Just to see him or speak with him or whatever. If I see him, the first thing I'm going to do is just walk out of that place. I will give you, before I answer that question, on a general note, I'm just giving this on a specific note. On the 14th of January.
Give me a second there. Let's take this. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Temitope,
thank you very much. Temitope, you have any question for Aisha Yesufu or Buki?
Okay, my question will just be that how can they get the government to attend to majority of the issues? One of the so many kidnapping cases that occurred in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Aisha, you heard that. Basically, she's saying how can we get the government to attend to all the issues that we are facing in Nigeria? She said the Chibok girls and Leah Sharibu are just one out of many. But I know we're talking about the Chibok girls. So I think it ties to the question I asked. Yeah,
it ties absolutely, because it's all about good governance. It's because of lack of good governance that Chibok girls were taken away in the first place, and it affects everyone. And I think how to get the government to act is for us all to be active citizens. Nigerians are full of passive citizens. I always say we do not need more activists. We need more active citizens. Everyone must occupy their office of the citizen and begin to make demands. The citizens must make demands. The trade unions must go beyond just making demands only for minimum wage. And we make demands for good governance, accountability, and transparency. The professional bodies must also make demands. The student unions, these are the bodies that come together to ensure that government acts. Governance is of two sides. There is the demand side of governance and there is the supply side of governance. The people who are elected, who are in government, they supply good governance, right? Then we that put them in office, citizens and all of them, we are supposed to demand. But sadly in Nigeria, there's no demand. People just put people in office and move on, and we keep on praying to God to make Nigeria work. God will never make Nigeria work, because God has given us everything it takes for Nigeria to work, and God will not do for us what He has given us the capacity to do for ourselves. So we must on our own begin to act, begin to make demands, and not just look the other way and say that it's none of our business, because everything at the end of the day concerns all of us. The question you asked me before the caller that called in on the issue, I was relating it back to on the 14th of January 2016, when we met with the president, the Bring Back Our Girls movement and the Chibok parents met with the president. The president was disdainful of the Chibok parents. He did not communicate with them with empathy. He practically berated them. He told them they were not grateful for the fact that the war against Boko Haram were being won. He told them that the Niger Delta issues were going on. That was the time of the attack on the what's it called now, the pipelines and all of that he was tackling that and they weren't attacking. And he made a statement that he, the President Muhammadu Buhari, had reached the peak of his career as a military man and as a politician. And on that day, I looked across him and I said, that man can't be my president. I'm talking from my own personal perspective now. And when everyone stood up to when he was working, I refused to stand up. Because that's the reason why I said I wouldn't even want to be in the same room with the president saying anything. But the only thing that there's a girl during our 70th year commemoration, she was 5 when Chibok girls were taken away. And today she's a teenager. And she said, what is there to say that has not been said? That how can we open his ears for the president to listen? But the only thing she said to me was that, and I'm going to borrow her words, Rohi is her name. She said, let the president think about the Chibok girls and everyone in captivity as his own children or his own family members. And what is it that he would have done if it was his own family members or his own children that were taken away? Then please, he should do it. In his own system, what would he have done? Because at the end of the day, what are we going to say that we have not said in 7 years? We have made demands, we have sent in documents, we sent in documents to the presidency, gave some to the president hand in hand on the 8th of July 2015. Citizen Solution to End Terrorism, the verification, authentication, reunification system documents, a whole lot of the documents on the Northeast region, rehabilitation of the Northeast region. We have done all of this, yet there is silence because the children of the poor do not matter to them.
Thank you very much. At 16 minutes to 3, Aisha, a message came on from Adetutu She said, I wish somebody could just give us some sincere and truthful answers with fulfilling hopes about the Chibok girls. Another person actually said it would be good to have a closure. If the girls are no longer alive, it would be good to have a closure. What would you like to say to this comment by a few women?
So the comment, it ties down to the theme that we had in this 7th year commemoration, which was disclosure and closure. So that disclosure comes from the Adetutu's question, where it will be good to know what happened. And we've been asking for over 6 years now, saying that the government should release the General Sabo report. You know, when the abduction took place, there was a committee that was set up, headed by General Sabo, to go and investigate what happened in Chibok. How come this number of children were taken away? How come the teachers were not around? How come a lot of things just didn't add up? And they did this report and they have handed it to government. Why is it that the government is not releasing this report? Who are they hiding? Let us know who are complicit in this abduction or who didn't do what they were supposed to do. Because there's a duty of care that is owed to the children. And then there's a breach of this duty of care. So by the time you find it, then you'll not be able to prosecute those people. We haven't heard any of that. And then we talked about disclosure and closure, and also the closure. For the government to come out and say, what is it that has happened? How many children are still alive? Some of them, we've gotten reports that some of them have been killed. Is it true some of them have been killed? If yes, how many of them have been killed? How many of them are alive? What we are saying as a movement is that every one of our Chibok girls must be accounted for. Every one of them, whether they are alive or they are not alive, what happened to them, how it happened to them, even if it means doing DNA to ascertain this is the grave of whatever, this is a particular, it needs to be done. Because if we do not do that, it means that our lives do not matter as citizens, that there's no value for the Nigerian life. At the Bring Back Our Girls movement, we always say that the fight for Chibok girls is the fight for the soul of Nigeria. Let people not think that, it doesn't concern them. It concerns all of us because we want our lives to be seen as important. And my daughter, Aliyah Yusufu, on the 1000th day of the abduction of the Chibok girls, she said something. She said, as long as Chibok girls are in captivity, we all are in captivity.
Aisha, I want to, what else can we do, to keep this matter on the front burner? I mean, we do this on Women Radio, and I know if newspaper do this as well. They do a daily countdown. We do a daily countdown. What else can we do to make the government uncomfortable? What else can we do to make them uncomfortable so that because sometimes they even forget it's the anniversary. They do forget. Yeah. It is when us put all of these advocacies out. What else can we do to make the government uncomfortable because of insecurity in this country?
So the thing that we can do, and that's the word, we must make them uncomfortable. Right now, they are very comfortable taking care of themselves. Life is good for them and their loved ones, and that's it. The rest of the nation can go to blazes as far as they are concerned. Nigerian citizens, we must all understand that the fight for a great nation beholds on all of us. It's not a few people. You cannot contract out the fight for a great nation and say that, you are trying to escape to other countries. In other countries, people had to fight for it. So we all must sit up and fight. And how do we do this? We must make them uncomfortable wherever we see them. All this issue of seeing officials, public officials, you are taking selfie with them, you're smiling with them, giving them standing ovation where that they do not deserve and all of that. It needs to stop. We must make demands on them. Wherever we see them, write letters to our House of Representatives. When we meet them, we must ask this question. We must tell them that Nigerians are being killed on a daily basis. It's not to smile and take pictures. Let me tell every one of us, kidnappers will not take the picture you snap with president or vice president or minister or governor and say, oh, I have a picture. Can I show it? They will not collect it. They collect money. So it is time for us to tell our government that the primary responsibility of any government is the protection of lives and properties. And any government that cannot protect the lives and properties of its citizens is not fit to be called a government. So the most important thing is for people to know that this is no longer a matter of say it's none of our business. It is all our business. This is not a matter of sitting there at home and praying. It is like you sitting inside your room and praying that jollof, you want to eat jollof rice, that God should give you jollof rice. You will pray till thy kingdom come. You will fast and whatever. You will not see that jollof rice. Why? Because God has given you the capacity to go to your kitchen and go and prepare jollof rice. And so when we sit down and say we are praying to God to give us good governance, and yet we are not using what God has given us, it's a major problem. And most importantly, also, election. During election is the opportunity that we have to send a great message to people who are in office. That's what democracy is all about. You cannot reward bad behavior. You cannot reward bad governance. Somebody has not done well. You say, hey, it's the party, let's vote on. No. Every 4 years, God brings a miracle for us, the miracle of the ballot boxes, ballot papers, for us to choose the right person. And it is time for Nigeria to stop choosing based on religion, sentiment, and all of that region. We must begin to choose people who have competence, character, capacity. By the time they know that the Nigerian people will not vote for you when you don't do the right thing, they will begin to do the right thing, or the parties will begin to bring in people that will do the right thing for us.
Thank you very much. Now, you mentioned elections. 2023 elections truly is round the corner, and most Nigerians think it's the same crop of leaders that will emerge. You know, they jump from one party to the other. They are still betting themselves. How can we ensure that our vote, number one, count, that the right person is there, that women also change the narrative? But before you answer that, let me just quickly take this. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Okay, I didn't get the name. What's your name? Thank you, Bolu from Ogba. Bolu, please go ahead and ask Aisha your question.
I just want to say that I appreciate the organization for advocating for this. One, because of the capital, I was in secondary school. 7 years ago, I was in secondary school. Now I'm a graduate. I've finished my NYSC and I'm already started work. How much pain this mothers would have been feeling, not seeing their children at this moment. So my question is, how can parents have more power than the government? Is it that they have agreement or something? It's a big question. I really wish the government can give us answers to this.
Thank you very much, Bolu. Aisha, so Bolu said when the Chibok girls were captured 7 years ago, she was in secondary school. Now she's a graduate and she's working and she can empathize with the parents and the pain they're going through. But she wanted to know, she said, is there a relationship with the terrorists and the government? She's asking, is there a kind of a relationship with them? How come this is still happening?
Well, that's a question that all of us are asking, because there's no way that the terrorists can be acting the way they are acting up to now, still strong, still emboldened without the government complicity. So the government is complicit in its lack of action, in its cluelessness, in its lack of capacity to give strategic leadership that will end it. And you find out that most of the weapons that the terrorists actually use, they get it from the Nigerian government, because they come, we buy weapons for our soldiers, the terrorists will come, attack our soldiers, carry the weapons away, and that's it. And they keep funding themselves. And it's a really major issue. And I can totally relate with her. My daughter was 12 years old when Chibok girls' abduction happened. And she started marching on the streets of Abuja for Chibok girls. Today, she's in the university. She's in her second year in the university. Our lives have all moved on in the last 7 years, but the lives of our Chibok girls and their parents, 112 of them, have been truncated, have been on a standstill. They haven't been able to do anything. It's really sad. And our government, by not giving the right kind of leadership that is needed, by not going after the terrorists, they have also become complicit in giving the terrorists an enabling environment for them to keep thriving and still have the audacity to go to schools, spend hours, sometimes 6 hours or more, that operate without anybody coming after them, without any challenge, pack our children, work for days in Nigeria without being challenged. You know, when Kankara abduction happened, I said to people, the greatest thing about that Kankara abduction was the fact that, first of all, it happened in Katsina State, which is the home state of the president. On the day that it happened, in the morning of that day, the president was in Katsina. The attack happened in the night. So to say that the terrorists were not afraid, that the president and commander-in-chief of Nigeria was in town, was in the state, and they still went on with it, meant that they know that our security is nothing. For me, that is a major issue. And where the president was to, it's about some hundreds of kilometers to where the abduction took place. They were unchallenged. They worked with the children all for hours and days. They were unchallenged. You would have expected that with the commander-in-chief being in Katsina, Katsina would have been on security lockdown where everything that is happening, our security agencies are monitoring it. DSS will never see any of this, but they will see people that want to go and protest. Let me not forget the key question that you asked me on the issue of election, which is very, very key. First of all, our votes count. Our votes can, if our votes don't count, politicians will not be buying votes. So people should understand that. And we have the mandate. The power belongs to the people. The only problem is that the people do not understand the extent of their power. And the politicians will always bring out all sorts of things. They will tell you your votes don't count, so that on election day, you'll be busy watching Premier League or busy watching movies. Meanwhile, some people who are not informed enough are making decisions on your behalf. Democracy without education is a disaster. And today, our politicians have weaponized poverty. They have weaponized illiteracy. They will bring 5,000, they will buy somebody's vote. You will be the one to spend hundreds of thousands in the 4 years paying for the person's school fees or their children's school fees or hospital bills, all of that. We need to let people understand this. And in terms of election, there are people who come out to vote. Nigerians must put their monies where their votes are. When you are waiting for candidates to bring money to run the election, it is people who have stolen Nigeria's right that will keep winning election. First of all, every one of us must donate to candidates that we see have competence, character, capacity. And we must vote people who have competence, character, capacity, who are passionate, who believe in Nigeria, who have empathy, who are innovative, who will do the right thing for us. And we hold them accountable after we have voted for them. And people must run for office. Come out and run for it. Today, I'm not running for president because I don't have the capacity to run for president. But guess what? I'm going to start working on that capacity. Probably by I think the next one will be 2027. Probably by 2027, I will put myself out for public office. But before then, I would have gathered knowledge so that when we are coming, we are looking for value-based and knowledge-based candidates, not anybody anyhow just be in office. And when that time comes, it is not my business whether you want to vote for me or you don't want to vote for me. My business is that I will be in your face every day, doing campaign, telling you I want to serve you, telling you I want to work for you. If you don't vote for me today, tomorrow, next election, you will see me again. And I think that's the way people need to go. Don't come out once and then you go away because if you were not voted for. But the only way we can get people doing that is that we ourselves, we must go and make and give them and donate money for their campaign funds, because people who haven't stolen money, they don't have the money to waste in that manner. And most importantly, also, it is not about parties. We have seen, let me give you an example. The National Assembly today, 99% of people in the National Assembly would not have won if they were not from the two major parties. But guess what today? They are not doing anything for any one of us because we did not put them there. It is their parties that put them. Their loyalty is to the people in the party. When we begin to vote people based on their competence, not on their party, whatever party you are in, if I know you are the best person for president, I will vote for you. You are the best person for governor or for us as an assembly member, I'll vote for you. And that's what all of us will need to begin to do. Pick people who are good, vote for them to go in, not to go party. When people say structure, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, we are all the structures. The people are the structures. The parties are not the structure. It's like network marketing we have to do. This candidate, tell this person, tell that person about that candidate, we'll be able to get the right candidates into power. If we don't have the right kind of people into power, we continue to struggle. And I think most importantly also, we should focus on the National Assembly and the State Houses of Assembly. Let's get people, because that is the bane of democracy. If we have the right people there, making the right laws, taking care of their oversight functions very well, we'll have a Nigeria that will begin to work for all of us. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you. It's muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
No, we can't hear the studio. It's muted.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you, Aisha.
Oh, Buki, you are still on. I'm sure she thought you had left though.
Have we finished?
I don't know. I'm trying to send her a message. I think she was locked off.
Uh-oh.
Yes, her network went off. So they went off, then they came back again.
But the studio, this thing is muted.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
let me go on.
Okay. They've sent a message. The meeting is over, ma. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay.
Thank
you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay.